Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Chris, and this is Barn on 11970. I thought I would do something different and show my face online. It's been a little while, but better late than never. And I hope you guys and gals out there are enjoying your day. And this is why I'm very glad to do the things that I do. And by the way, if you want to ask questions as usual, like I always say, if you go on my Google Plus account, there is a way that you can ask questions or make statements. All you have to do is when you go to my Google Plus page, click on the video that you see live. So it's not going to work on the YouTube page. I don't do the live scrolling. And the reason I don't do the live scrolling is I don't have to worry about missing a question. I don't have to worry about spam emails or people starting fights and everything. Because if you see the scrolls, they always go so fast. I mean, I can't pay attention to it. So if you want to ask a question or make a statement, all you have to do is go to my Google Plus page. So it does pay to follow me on Google Plus. And when you see the live video on the Google Plus page, all you have to do is just click on the video image that you see. It'll open up the window, and then you'll have the ability to ask a question or make a statement, so you can, and I encourage it. But as you could see with the title of this is the Mandela effect real or BS? Now, if you watched the other video I made before, what I like to think of is when something presents itself, at least to me, this is my own opinion, this is my own point of view, is when something's presented to me, what I've learned is to pay attention to it and see where it takes me. Now, like a step, you take one step at a time to get to the final destination, which is at the top of the stairs. Each step is its own positioning to get you to the next level. So that's how I view information. So when information comes to me to the point where it catches my attention, instead of ignoring it or dismissing it, I say, okay, let's see where this goes. Now, I'm going to be fair. Things are based on our belief systems. So we may remember things differently. And there are a few things that I saw that I didn't necessarily agree with. For example, I am 45 going on 46. I saw the original Star Wars movie back in 1977 when I was a kid. I saw it several times in the movie theater. I've seen that movie so many times that I could almost recite it. And when Empire Strikes Back came out, I saw that the day it came out. I remember my father taking me to the movie theater. We saw it the day it came out. I already knew that Darth Vader was Luke's father. I mean, spoiler alert. Before the movie happened. I even knew as a kid the next movie was originally supposed to be called Revenge of the Jedi. So I mean, I knew all about Star Wars, loved it. I always remember Darth Vader saying, "No, I am your father." And when I hear the other thing of somebody saying, "Luke, I am your father," it doesn't make sense to me. Now, here's the thing you have to understand. I've said in several videos, it has to come down to your own belief system and your own truth system. So everybody's truth is true. What I'm seeing is, and again, people have the right to say this, and it does seem that way, that people are saying things, oh, this is just another divide and conquer. Well, it depends on how people take it. My thing is, never not give something an opportunity to see what it presents itself. See where it goes, see where it takes you. And if it takes you to a dead end, okay, that's a path I no longer have to take. Because just imagine if you're driving in a car and you're trying to find a destination that you're not familiar with. If you go down a dead end, well, now okay, I no longer have to go down that direction. That means one less way to travel. So to me, when something presents itself, it may be crazy, it may be silly, it may be different, it may not be popular, but if it's presented to me, there's always a reason. So it's either I could learn something from it in a positive way. In other words, if the thing, like, for example, the Mandela effect, if it presents itself to me and it finds out this is 100% accurate in the way it is, well, then I'm glad it was presented to me. But if for some reason I find out after some more research or talking to more people, I find out it's not accurate or it's a lie, then at least I know, okay, that's a path I no longer have to take. So I'm not going to spend months or years on this. I'm going to see where it takes me. Now, I see some comments from people where they say things like, oh, well, I believe it to be this way, so it has to be that way. Well, I have people on the opposite end saying the exact opposite. So which one is true? If you think about it, both are true because it's your own perspective. But we have to see things for what they are. So I'm not going to sit here and say the Mandela effect is 100% real, but I'm also not going to 100% dismiss it, because there are things that I remember as a kid that now are different. That's my own personal belief. The problem is, in this community, in all communities, people seem to feel that it's their need to tell others what they're doing is right or wrong. Now, there are good times for that, but when it comes to a belief system, if somebody strongly believes in something, it's going to be very difficult for somebody else to say, well, I believe differently, so you're wrong. You see how that's going to make somebody defensive? The idea is to understand that we all have the right to have our own belief system, and it will take us where we need to go. And if it brings us to somewhere positive, then how could it be a bad thing? Because I'll tell you, whether the Mandela effect is real or not, when I was checking it out and getting my own personal verification, it made me feel good. It made me feel happy that some of the things that I've been talking about have been almost justified in my eyes. And that brought me joy. It made me feel peaceful. So why would I want that taken away from me? Now, on the other hand, I'm not going to sit there and say, oh, well, it made me feel joy and made me feel peaceful, and I brought happiness out of it, and it might have helped other people. If I find something different now, I'm just going to pretend it's not there. I'm willing to listen to all sides, but give each person the opportunity to listen and make their own opinion. You cannot tell somebody else how to think, how to feel, even if you think you're 100% right, because you may be 100% right for yourself. It doesn't necessarily mean it's going to coincide with somebody else. So, is the Mandela effect real, or is it BS? At this point, I can't say. I could say it could be either. It could be a little of both. Who knows? It's hard to say. In a manipulated world where there are people who are not going to be honest enough to tell us either way, a lot of times we have to make our best educational guess of what feels right. And there are people saying things like, oh, it always was, for example, at the Forrest Gump, it always was, life was a box of chocolates. Well, I have plenty of people, including myself, remembering it as life is. So which is right? Maybe we're both right, maybe we're both wrong, who knows? But if I believe it to be that way, somebody else cannot come along and say, well, I believe it different, so you're wrong. How is that productive? All that does is creates conflict. So there are people saying that this could be another divide and conquer. It sure can, if we don't learn how to communicate and respect each other's beliefs and try and see where we can learn from them. And I've said this so many times, that when even negativity approaches you, if you pay attention to it and see what it is, which is a message, a warning, you can learn what you don't want. How do you know, like, for example, food? How do you know if you're going to like a food or not unless you try it? So let's say, for example, somebody presents me a hot chili, and I automatically dismiss it because, oh, I've heard people don't like that. Well, I'm missing out on an opportunity, because what if I would have had it and enjoyed it? And on the other end, what if I say, okay, I've never had one before, let me try it. I try it, it burns my mouth, I absolutely hate it, and I never want to eat one again. But at least I know through my own personal experience that now I no longer want it, because I gave the effort to see if it was something that I liked or did not like. And that's the same with evidence of things like what we're talking about. This is something new to me. I've never heard of this before. There are people saying they talked to me about it. I don't recall it. I mean, then again, I get hundreds of comments and messages, and at one point I had 2 channels. So I was getting comments and messages everywhere. So I'm going to miss a few. So don't take offense to that. If you see my email box and my comments, I mean, I get hundreds of them a day. Every time I make videos, I get 100 more. So I may forget a few or miss a few, and a lot of them end up in spam. A lot of them just never show up at all for some reason. But my key thing is, if we are all going to try and get the journey to truth, because a lot of people here are here for that reason. There are always exceptions to every rule. I cannot worry about the little silly people that their goal for the day is to say some ridiculous thing so it makes them feel better. I mean, simple things for simple minds. But the people that are here to try and learn something, to try and grow, to try and seek whatever truth they can hold on to, each person's truth is going to be different. It's going to vary. I mean, just look at religion itself. Everybody believes their religion is correct. They could all be correct, They could all be wrong. But if one person believes in worshiping this cup as their God, and another person believes in worshiping this roll of tape as God, well, who is the person that worships this tape to say that the person that worships this cup is wrong? It's wrong in their eyes. My thing is, until we can respect other people's beliefs, and if it's something that could cause them harm, then we may want to try and help guide them out of there. In other words, if you see somebody swimming in the ocean and you see a shark, whether they believe it or not, if it's coming towards them, you may want to go in and rescue them. And they may not understand it. They might be like, why the hell did this stranger come and take me out of the water? And then all of a sudden they may see it. They may never see it, may never understand it. So if your goal is to try and help people, do it in a positive way. Don't do it in a way that insults people. Or you cannot tell people they're wrong based on a belief, because a belief is only true in your own perception. That's why you believe what you're seeing somebody else doing or saying or thinking is wrong, because it's contradictory to your own belief system. It doesn't mean you're right and they're wrong, even if that's the case. They could both be right. Again, I've used that example of if I have a roll of toilet paper and if I show the circle part and put a flashlight, well, there's going to be an image of a circle on the wall. But if I do the long end, it's going to show an image of a rectangle. The person seeing the rectangle isn't going to see the circle. Another person that sees the circle isn't going to see the rectangle. So does that mean because one sees the circle and not the rectangle, that means the person that saw the rectangle is wrong? No. It just means there's another perspective. So whether the Mandela effect is real, BS, or somewhere in the middle, we can only guess. We don't work for the people who created it, whether as a false flag event or whether as a real thing. So the best that we can do is see what opinion we resonate with the most and go with that. And then, like I've said, you will always get verification of your own truth. That's why you will see people that say they swear that it's always been mirror, mirror on the wall. And you'll have other people that swear it's always been magic mirror on the wall. They could both be right. In an infinite universe with infinite possibilities, there are no wrong answers. There's just different degrees of what you are willing to accept. And that's basically it. So if divide and conquer works when we try and push our agendas to other people. Now, you'll notice I talk about a lot of different things on my channel, but nothing have I ever said you absolutely have to do. What I do is present my evidence for my belief system and say, here it is, you make your own conclusion. I recommend doing your own research. I recommend trusting your own instincts, but I don't put a gun to anybody's head and say, this is the 100% truth, this is what you have to believe. I'm interpreting it from my own system. If it's right for me, then it doesn't matter if it's right for anybody else. If it is, that's great. But I'm not doing it to make other people happy. So until we can end up learning how to respect one another's right to a difference of belief, or help guide them if you feel they're doing something that is endangering them, because not everything is a waste of time. That's why I have no regrets. If I find out this Mandela effect is 100% BS, it was a lie made to distract people, let's say that happens, I don't regret what I learned or what I researched, because then it allowed me to find out, okay, I no longer have to go down that road. So it still serves a purpose. If you ignore signs, you'll never understand their meaning, because not all signs are just saying stop where you know exactly what they mean. Some you have to interpret, some you have to figure out, some you have to find, and some you have to realize are dead ends or misdirections. But you won't know it unless you experience it. If you don't travel down a road, you'll never know if it leads you where you want to be. So we have a question really quick. It's Joe J. Mawa 41123. I'm sure I butchered that totally, so forgive me. Says, hi, Chris. Many thanks for the effort you put in making your videos. Thank you. Regarding Mandela effect, it seems very real from my perspective. Just had a chat with my wife, and seems we confirmed some examples from videos. And see, there you go. There's a person that, according to them, their belief system, they believe it's right. Now, the people that are the problem are not us who are trying to decipher these things, because unfortunately we can only base it on what we feel. The problem lies in the people that are being dishonest about who's putting this out there and why it's being done. And the frustration we have sometimes, we tend to take it out on our fellow people that are trying to talk about these things, whether we call them crazy or wasting of time or all these things. I mean, you should see some of the emails I get, some vicious emails from people because their belief system is different than mine. I've had people tell me to go F off and shoot yourself and all this stuff. Really? Because I have a different point of view than you have? You notice I never go on anybody else's channel and say that to them. Why the need to do this? That is the problem. There's too much anger directed at the wrong people. Because anybody that will take the time out of their day to try and help people, I at least respect the fact that they're willing to do that, because that makes them not very selfish. Whether they're right or wrong, whether I agree with them or not, I respect the fact that they're taking time out of their day to think about more than themselves. I listen to what they have to say, and then see if any of it I can take and resonate with. And the things I don't, I could watch something that's a 3-hour video and end up walking away like that was the biggest load of garbage I've ever heard in my life. But at least I know now I never have to go down that road again. So a belief system is a control system. We know this. And it's very hard to change people. And for somebody to come along and say, oh, your belief system is wrong because I'm different than you, is not justification. That's not going to change anything. If you want to present examples, if you want to make your own videos and say, here is why you may want to think in another way, telling somebody they're absolutely wrong puts them in a defensive mode. I mean, I remember doing that when I first started my channel. I didn't know any better. Now it's, I am posting my opinion. If it resonates with you, then that's good. If it doesn't, then that's your own path to choose. That's why I wanted to come on video so you could see me face to face, because I am never going to get everything right. I'm going to make mistakes. Everybody does. Anybody out there that thinks that they don't make mistakes is arrogant or just stupid. Or very vain. Lots of vanity. But it's the intent. If you see my videos, my intent is not to mislead people. My intent is not to try and trick people. Although there will be one or two that'll try and claim that's what I do. And that's fine. You go to their channels, you don't see anything productive. So there's a little bit of hypocrisy there. But you could see overall, my channel is to try and help things. So if I find out the Mandela effect is 100% true, I'm going to talk about that from my own perspective. If I find out it's 100% BS, I'm going to talk about that and show, okay, like for a prime example. Last night, I made a video because somebody was talking about how the moon changed. And when I looked at images, all of a sudden the moon looked different. And I posted a video saying, you know, WTF happened to the moon. And then like I always do, I always watch my videos after I post them to make sure that they work properly and there weren't any mistakes. And I found that all of a sudden the pictures didn't look the same anymore. And I was like, wait a minute, this is different. And I took it down. No regret. Sometimes you could maybe see things. Maybe it's something you want to believe. That's how powerful a belief system can be. Sometimes your brain could convince you that something that you're seeing or hearing or being told is real. It's all a matter of perspective. But we should never hold on to any belief without at least hearing other people's opinion. Now, if somebody wants to educate me and do it in a respectful way, I'll be more than happy to listen to them and hear what they have to present. But it doesn't mean, even if they feel they're right, doesn't mean they are. If I don't agree with it, it doesn't matter what they say or what they believe. And that's got to be for everybody. The divide and conquer comes when we all fight over each other and hurt each other instead of directing it towards the idiots that are creating all these problems. They're the problem. Ultimately, in the end, no matter what is wrong or what's right, the fact remains there are a few people at the top that are doing these things to make us not be the way we're supposed to be. And until we fix that, until we understand that no matter what happens, it's just another learning tool to either find out something's true or find out something's not worth our time anymore. I, at least on my own perspective, never have a problem with hearing people out, giving people an opportunity, listening to all evidence, seeing where it leads me. And just because I believe something to be true at one moment doesn't mean that I'm going to stick with it forever unless I believe in it. And that's why to this day I still believe in physical gold and silver. That hasn't changed. But if it did, I'd let you know about it. I still have all the gold and silver that I've had back when I started collecting in 2006 and really started getting into it after 2011. I have a video this year where I bought 10 more ounces of silver. And that was back when silver was under $15. Looks like a smart move now, doesn't it? So I thank you, Joe Jan, for your comment. And you have every right to believe what you believe to be true. Each person's truth is their own truth. And until we can understand that, how can we ever have unity if we're always fighting and telling each other that we're wrong? So I'm going to keep looking into this, and I'm going to see where it takes me. To me, I don't have an idea presented to me and I just say, okay, I resonate on it, so it must be 100% true. No, I'm going to go in with a grain of salt saying, okay, I'm going to give it an opportunity, see where it goes. So it may sound like, oh, Chris, you're talking about this, that means you 100% believe it. No, there are parts that I resonate with, but there are parts I don't. Like I said, the Darth Vader thing. I remember it since a child that it says, no, I am your father. But who am I to tell somebody else that says, no, I heard it as Luke, I am your father, that they're wrong? If that's what they believe, how can I change their belief system based on what I believe? That's just dumb. So there are certain things that I've seen that I agree with, and some of them it's like, wait. And there could be possibilities that maybe we just don't remember them. That is also a possibility. But that doesn't mean even with that, I should not at least present it and let you formulate your own opinion. Because at least the people here, whether they're right or wrong, at least they are not hiding these things and trying to present them. If only our news people and our politicians and our bankers would be so kind. They're hiding things. They're misleading things. They're misrepresenting things. They're doing things that are not kind, at least to us. So when somebody posts a video, you may not like what they say, you may not agree with what they say, but at least they're being transparent enough to show their belief, even with the fact that they could be persecuted for it, insulted for it, attacked for it, even threatened for it. That takes true strength. That's why the media is bought and sold. That's why politicians are bought and sold. That's why most people do what they're told out of fear. So, start respecting the people that are putting themselves out there. And that's another reason why I wanted to show my face. I've done it hundreds of times, so it's not like I'm hiding. It's just more convenient. Give it a little credit. Because we're trying. We're trying to learn. And each person's at a different level. All right, Jojo Mawa 41123 says, fights give no solutions. Respect for each other's opinions does, though. Yes, I 100% agree. And I've said it so many times. And yet, people will constantly come in and make just sometimes idiotic statements. And those people, at this point, I just block. And if there are small people out there say, oh, Chris only wants people that will agree, then they don't pay attention. I have plenty of people that disagree, but can disagree in a way that's respectful and adult. Calling somebody an idiot or insulting them is not going to do anything positive. Just imagine if a parent treated their children that way. When a child that's 5 years old and is just learning to count says, Daddy, 2 plus 2 is 5. And instead of saying, no, dear, 2 plus 2 is actually 4. If you just imagine if you turn around and said, oh, you're an idiot. Don't you know that 2 plus 2 is 4? I mean, do you think anything good's ever going to come out of that? And yet, there are constantly people that do that, patting themselves on the back like that's an achievement. Congratulations for those people. Start respecting each other's right to believe in what they want. If it's going in a way that you feel that it's harmful, if somebody's belief is to be riding on a train track, and you see a train coming, well, it's your job to get them off that track. Not sitting there calling them an idiot for doing what they're doing. Let's try a different way. The arrogance, the ego, the vanity has got to go. And until we can let go of those lower dimensional vibrations, I don't care how much you know. If you think the way to help people is by being condescending or trying to force your beliefs on somebody else based on what you know, then you are still in lower vibrations and you're being very hypocritical. Until we could peacefully say, okay, here is what I feel. I'm going to present this to you, and you take the time to see if it resonates with you because I care enough to want to help you. Until we can get to that point, there's a lot of hypocrisy. And a lot of people don't want to see that. And a lot of it is based on ego. And I have time and time again shown that if I'm wrong, I'll be more than happy to show it. And there are plenty of people say, oh, well, you've been wrong before. Well, if I don't believe I'm wrong, it doesn't matter what you think. It's what I think. Like the whole gold and silver thing. People to this day still say I'm wrong. I've continually said that physical gold and silver for long-term investment. One day I will be right, in my opinion. And even if I'm not, I still don't regret it because I did it for my own reasons. If you do something based on what somebody else tells you, whose fault is that if it goes wrong? That's why I keep telling people, you got to take responsibility for yourself. You have to make your own decisions. There's nothing wrong with hearing other people's advice or hearing other people's opinions. But if you have based them solely on your exclusive way to make your own decision, then that says more about you than the person that may have been wrong. Because not everybody's out to lie to you, and not everybody's out to hurt you. And until we realize the people that are the problem, and if we keep fighting amongst ourselves for our little differences, because some people believe in angels, some people don't, some people believe in God, some people don't, some people believe in gold and silver, some people don't. It's a belief system. I believe or I don't believe. Neither one says I know. And if you can say that you know something based on your own belief, then listen to what you're saying. You're saying, I believe something, so it's true. In your mind, yes, but that doesn't necessarily mean it has to be somebody else's, and it doesn't necessarily mean it is the truth. And that's the sketchy thing about truth. Because it's based on each person's individual perception, there could be multiples of truth. But people don't want to talk about that. It's the arrogance, it's the vanity. You gotta lose that. Again, it's lower vibration. It's time to be humble. It's time to be caring. If you've been doing this, and that's why I took a break for a while, because I got to the point where I started getting really angry and I wasn't very helpful. And then I said, okay, as much as I want to make videos, as much as I'm helping a few people, I'm hurting myself and I'm not being as productive as I want. It was time to step away for a little while. If you've been doing this for too long to the point where you just cannot be friendly or nice or kind to people and understand they have the right to have their own level of time it takes to get to a certain point, then you need to take a break as well. So I always respect people's opinions. I may agree with them, I may not disagree with them, but like they said, it's not what you say, it's how you say it. If you come at me or come at somebody else in an aggressive way, they're going to respond in a defensive way. That causes friction. That is not productive. You take a good intention and taint it. And if you can't see that, then that's part of the problem. So I'm going to keep looking into this Mandela thing. I find it interesting. I resonate with it. I agree with some stuff. I don't agree with all the stuff. Because some of them I don't remember enough to actually have an opinion. So I'm not going to say that. I've seen maps where people are saying all of a sudden England is further away from Europe. Well, I looked at the maps. I don't see that any different. There are people that lie, and some things are actually truth. So there might be some that have changed, things that are beyond my control or explanation. They are talking about, and you could listen to actual scientists talking about, with these new quantum computers, that they are actually making chips where they are drawing from parallel universes. This is not something I made up. You could research it yourself, and I don't know the scientist's name, but he's one of the people that was responsible for helping to make one of these computers. And he was giving a presentation to like hundreds of people talking about these computers. And he says it himself. Crazy? Sure is. True? Don't know. Impossible? Don't know. So until you're in that room making those things, or until you speak to God himself and he tells you or she tells you or it tells you what the truth is, well, the best we can do is make our best educational guess based on what we resonate with. And just because it's right for you, it doesn't mean it's right for somebody else. But if it's right for somebody, it makes them happy and it brings them to a more positive place. Isn't that what the world should be about? Think about that. So thanks for watching. Leave your comments, hit subscribe if you want to. And just remember, guys and girls, believe in what resonates with you, but don't try and impose your beliefs on somebody else's to the point where you're telling them they're wrong because they believe differently. Because then we're never going to win, and it's a vicious cycle that will not stop. because we'll be too busy concerned about telling each other how to think instead of saying we need to stop the people that are making us both think this way. That's the ultimate control. So thanks for watching and have a great day.